So I intended to put together a different video today, but I saw this discussion topic floating around on social media. I don't know, seeing as I'm now making all sorts of random videos, I thought why not throw my own 2 cents in. So the discussion originates from a tweet, which is actually from a game developer at Massive, which is a Ubisoft studio, I believe the studio that works on Division and is currently working on a new Star Wars open world game. So the tweet reads, "Unpopular opinion. Achievements/trophies have been bad for gaming. It narrows games down, it disrupts and diverts attention, and it eats resources that could have made the game better." Now, I think on the face of this, these are all valid points. I can completely understand from a development side why you wouldn't want to put so much focus and effort into something that isn't actually needed. I mean, achievements and trophies are only there because Microsoft and Sony tell you to put them in there, and it's sort of a rule if you're going to release a game on those platforms. I'm not sure if it's a rule for Steam, but I get it. I get from this developer's point of view why it would feel like a bit of a waste of time on his end, because it's not technically making the game any better. It doesn't enrich the gameplay, it doesn't enhance the story, it doesn't improve the visuals. From a real cynical point of view, you could just say that it's a badge of honor or just some extra numbers to your gamer score. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about this is because as somebody who's played a lot of older games, especially over the last few years, I do find it quite interesting the way that achievements and trophies have shifted playing habits, especially for myself. To a certain degree, they have changed game development, because I suppose if you're going to include achievements, then you need to include something in the game that you can get an achievement for, like collectibles, for example. Collectibles and side missions have become much more prevalent in modern day games, whereas back in the day, it kind of, I don't know, it could just be my own bubble that I created for myself when I was younger, but it felt like there were a lot more linear action games, and now every game is basically a borderline open world RPG. But that's a whole different point. Now, I'll be perfectly honest, if we're talking about the days of early Xbox 360 all the way up until early Xbox One days, I was an absolute achievement whore. I can't tell you the amount of bad games or mediocre/bad games that I played multiple times just to get a couple hundred more points added to my gamer score. In terms of design, they're an absolute devious addition to gaming, and I wouldn't be surprised if they've altered my brain chemistry, because there is something incredibly satisfying about hearing that pop when you get an achievement. When that number of an achievement is over like 50, there is quite a bit of satisfaction from that. For some reason, I don't get the same satisfaction with trophies, but that might be because I have a lot less trophies than I do have Xbox achievements. Like, my current gamer score is, I think, just 2,000 points away from 200,000. So I've been racking up achievements for a very long time now. Like, I've had an Xbox Live account for 18 years. While I've always owned a PlayStation, I have been using the Xbox as my main console since the later original Xbox days. I used to be super focused on getting as many achievements as possible with every single game that I played. Even if it was a bad one. Like, I played those damn Kane and Lynch games like 2 or 3 times. I'm pretty sure I played the first one twice on like normal and hard difficulty, and the same for the second one, and both of those were terrible games when I look back on it. Such a waste of time, but I was in my late teens, early 20s, so I had nothing but time to burn. Nowadays, with a lot less time on my hands, achievement hunting is not something that I bother with as much. It's kind of like, if I'm enjoying a game or I think a game is just okay, I want to get as many achievements as possible but won't hunt them down. If it's a game that I absolutely love, then I want to get everything possible. And although I don't play games for achievements, and I don't think a lot of us play games for achievements or trophies, I do think like it would be super weird if we just suddenly took them away. That would really bother me for some reason. I can't explain why. I think, obviously it's because we've had like a good 15 years now of just getting used to them. They are a thing, They've been around long enough you could consider them a staple of the gaming industry. But it's still a meaningless number. And I don't know why I care about it so much. Like, I'm dying to get across the 200,000 achievement score mark. And I don't know why. It's just, it's numbers. It's just numbers. If anything, it is nothing but a reminder of how much time I've wasted playing bad games. How much time I have wasted hunting down meaningless collectibles. How much time I've wasted doing side objectives in games that I wasn't even enjoying. How much time I've wasted dying playing something on the hardest difficulty when I didn't need to. I mean, they're not wholly negative. I do think they have... I understand what this developer is talking about. When he says it narrows games down, like, I get that point. Because it kind of does direct people in a way that I'm sure when you look at the stats, because of achievements, a lot of people end up playing games the same way. It robs people of more organic moments. Because the amount of times that I've gone on YouTube to look up a quick guide of like, oh, how do I get this achievement real quick? And, you know, or what's the best build to do this and that and the other? I suppose at the same time, that's also walkthrough culture. Like, there are entire YouTube channels devoted to helping people get achievements and trophies. Those videos are up almost on like day one of a game's release. Like, it's so fast. But I'm fully addicted. I need them. I need them in my life. I need to hear that pop. I need to hear that sound effect. And to be fair, a lot of the times it has given me the positive that I will, or credit that I will give to achievements, is that I do think they add good replay value. Some achievements can be done a lot better than others. For the majority of games, they will just give you sort of like 50% of the achievements for just completing the game, and then there'll be another 50% of the achievements which will be random activities that you can do, or, you know, get all the collectibles, 100% the game. You know, they encourage you to really explore every nook and cranny of the game. However, there are certain games that have multiple paths, multiple routes that you can take, multiple play styles that you can adopt. Something like a Dishonored would be a good example, where you can go full stealth or full sort of just chaos, shooting everybody in the face. Like, attaching achievements to the ends of those routes that you can take is good, because it encourages people to try out both playstyles. They 100% improve the replayability of almost all games. I don't think that can be argued. Achievements can be done very well is basically what I'm trying to say. Master Chief Collection has, boy, like 6,000 score you can get. There's like hundreds of achievements in that thing. And they are done quite well, because not only do they encourage you to play through all of the campaigns, but they also encourage you to play through specific levels under a more challenging rule set, or they encourage you to try something that you may have thought was impossible, like the lasso achievements and stuff like that. Like, when they're set up in that way, I think they work quite well. I think those achievements are a great addition to games. The ones that provide you with ideas on, oh, by the way, you can play it this way. But yeah, Master Chief Collection is a great example, because you get an achievement for each mission. You get an achievement for each mission on its hardest difficulty. You get an achievement for each mission if you can beat the par time, so essentially speedrunning it. And you get an achievement for completing each mission with a high enough score, so getting double kills and triple kills and, you know, not dying. And I think that stuff is really creative, because it allows players to think about games in ways that they wouldn't. You know, I've hunted down a lot of those, and, you know, they, like I said, it allows players to think about games in a slightly different way. I will say this though, and I'm saying this with full chest, it's a hill that I'm willing to die on. If this channel ever blows up in some way, you can clip this and play it to me back later. I will never change my stance on this. You can cancel me for it, whatever. But if you make achievements that are online, multiplayer focused achievements, I really hope you stub your toe in the worst way possible. But it is interesting just how far we've come with achievements now, that they've almost quietly just become this very normal thing. And as I said, as someone who does play a lot of older games, Like, going back and playing some of those older games that I'm not in love with. Obviously, you know, my favourite franchises from back in the day, I still thoroughly enjoy playing. But if I'm playing something I haven't played before from that 5th or 6th gen, like, I'm probably only going to play it once. Because for a lot of older games, the incentive to play a game again was for an unlockable right at the very end that you would only be able to utilise on your 3rd playthrough. A good example would be something like the original Metal Gear Solid, where you can unlock the bandana or the stealth camo or the tuxedo, all of that stuff. All of that was great. Now, I played Metal Gear Solid a whole bunch of times, but that was because it was one of my, or still is, my favourite game ever. But I wouldn't have played through, you know, Resident Evil multiple times just to unlock like a different pistol or a shotgun. I would have had my time with that game and enjoyed it and sort of moved on to the next thing. However, you throw some achievements in there, we're talking about something different there. At the same time, they are kind of nightmarish because, as I said, they lock you into just wasting so much time on... I don't know. I guess this tweet has got me thinking, what would have the last 15, 16 years of gaming been like for me if achievements and trophies didn't exist? I can only assume that I would have played more games because I would have been playing each game once, and if I liked it, I maybe would have played it again, but if I wasn't super impressed by it, I would have immediately moved on. Because I'm no longer playing this game within a game, this whole meta experience of squeezing every single point out of every single game I came across. But I also wanted to put this video out to kind of get a read of the room as well. How do you all feel about achievements and trophies? Do you care about them? Do you still hunt them down? Did you ever hunt them down? Do you think they add good replay value? Do you think they are the worst thing to be introduced to gaming since E.T.? But I think there's a lot to be said for how they play directly into the way most people, and especially gamers' brains work. That sort of completionist side, that OCD element that a lot of us have. Like, I'm 100% convinced that I get a small release of dopamine every time I see the achievement notification. It's not huge, but it's just enough to keep me going and keep me chasing more of them. Otherwise I wouldn't have such a high gamer score as I do. Overall, you know, if I had to really think about it, I'd probably say achievements and trophies are a net positive. I understand why developers wouldn't want to work on them and kind of come up with all these different ways of, okay, what can we give them achievement for and how are we going to alter the game around this achievement/trophy system. I can understand why that would be a hassle and a ball ache. I don't know how large the teams are that put together the achievement stuff. I don't know how much money and time goes into it. But at the same time, part of me thinks it could be kind of fun to put those things together. So yeah, they're a net positive for me, but I'd be really interested to hear what you all think. So, with not too much more to say on this topic, I've been Inept Saiyan. You as always have been a wonderful audience, and I hope to catch you next time.